Greetings, everyone in the audience, and I want to greet our panel today. And before I get into the meat and the material of our panel today and who is in our panelists today, I'm going to give a brief introduction. We're going to speak in a language flexible. We weave into English and Shona, because that's how most of the people speak. Can do Shona but flexible. So feel free to tell any language, but point your out our So chekutanga chandout this is not a grievance table. I've gathered here my friends, people I've known for years. 1997, 1998, Tommy. Mono, 1995. Back here, I think we've got about 15 years, manje. 15 years, Takeda album, Rangu, and in Mono together. And not only that, tine our behind the scenes. I've got my son, David, Alpa Camera. David and I have known each other since his beginnings. And Mukoma Freddy. Mukoma Fred should actually be sitting right there because experience avaina sound in zvimwe zvese yakanyanyisa indofana kutogara pasi kutonyarara kutotaura handizvere. Then tina Mukoma Farai na Mukoma Julius vakabata macameras edu munomu. So I want to talk about nyaya yakatikoshera muno munyika medu, not just in our own country but anywhere where an event is being held. So I want to talk about your event is coming up. So your event might be a big event, your event might be a medium-sized event, your event might be a small-sized event. Whether you're a pastor, what you call yourself, a prophet, an apostle, a musician, a CEO, or whatever you call yourself, one day you're going to have an event. And not just one day, you probably or have already had many events. And in those events, there are certain things that we would like to share with you about your event that cannot be ignored. At some point in your event, you're going to need sound. At some point in your event, you're going to need lighting. At some point in your event, you may want to memorize some things. You might want to video them or tape them. Or you may want to record the audio. All these things don't just happen. It takes time to prepare. So we want to talk about that preparation so that we can have memorable events. What makes an event memorable? What makes an event something worth remembering? What do you remember about an event? If it's bad, what made that event bad? Do you know that your event is coming up? If you know that your event is coming up, you need to prepare for your event. What does it mean to prepare for your event? What amount of time? What amount of material, what amount of cost are you putting into the preparation of your event? I want to have an event and I want to have a video done. Then I come to Thomas, Ndoti Tommy Shaman. Ndoya kwa maniru. Nas. Thomas ndoda video yakanaka ngwana. Ko mfundisi mutaranya kuti maizere kuti event yenyu kuya. No ingwe ita chete zvinhu zvingobuda chete ingwe ita zvingoti kakaka zvingobuda. That kind of communication and that kind of approach is what we want to address so that we give attention to our events as they are coming up. We show everyone that we knew our event is coming up. So my name is Herman Jimsoro. I'm a father of 3, a husband of 1, and I am a musician. And ndinobatao zvinongofamba-fambawo zvakaita zvimotikari ndege ndinoridzawo handizvere. At the same time, paushamwari hwedu apa muno tese takadai tinobatanidza kubatsira vamwe vanorekodha kana kubatsirana muma-events tichiita zvinhu kuseta ma-events. We have many events that we have done amongst ourselves pachedu tese takasangana kudai nevamwe hama dzedu dzisina kukwanisa kuuya. So that's me in a nutshell. Ndichakuendesai kurudyi rwangu, on our right, God's favorite guitarist.
sekunzi kwamaita mwaranakirwa neni singaite I am God's favorite guitarist and music producer as well. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, and you know Thomas Matikiti. Yeah, I'm a creative. I do mainly video stuff, but yeah, I also do a bit of photography. I'm also a little bit of a musician as well.
Mm-hmm. Not a little bit.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm a father of 2 teenagers. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, and husband, 1.
That's
wife.
wonderful. And what's the name of your production
One
house?
non-wife.
Production house. Yeah, I run a company called Naledi Production. Yeah, we're here in Harare, so we specialize in video productions, sometimes LED screens, and yeah.
Sound into talking.
You see, in total,
I'm still Legends Night.
Legends, this is a video actually. But sound in English for someone else.
But still, you are doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That was mine. Like you say more.
I'm serious. Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. On my left, you're right.
All right. So my name is Mbaki and I'm a practicing engineer, sound engineer, but my major focus is on skills transfer. Running an academy, obviously, and a multimedia expo in Zimbabwe, which we did the first one last year, and this year we're doing the second one. So my major thing is just skills transfer.
Wonderful. This is, for me, a privilege to have you guys at the table. Just to have the caliber or the quality that you guys are here at the same table is something that I feel humbled about, because I know the excellency of what you do. I have rubbed shoulders with you guys. I've spent time with every one of you. Mbaki, I remember when we were working together on my own album, Studio Kwa Mono, the coaching, my vocals and the tracking, the stacking and everything. Amazing. Thomas, we have worked together since 1998. Mono, 1995. Ndichimwarasa nekumubvunza ndidzidzise gitara. Ndichienda tichigara tikatsigara mawanika makakabhini so. Ndichidzidziswa gitara.
Kabhini yapinda mhepo.
So
said kuti hanombotorwa mapictures paper. I don't know
why. And nekuda documentation kwatinoita.
Zvakaputsika
nepaper.
What happened?
Yeah, but takazotanga kutora manje ma-videos manje later on which we have in our archives. But my pictures takatora ma-pictures akati one day. So I've learned a lot of things from you guys, and I know from what I've seen you guys do, I've said I would want you to be able to speak to people what it takes to come up with something that is excellent, with the amount of preparation, because things don't just happen and manifest on stage. It takes a lot of time to prepare. So first thing I want us to talk about is an event is coming up. What do you want us to tell people about the event? I shared with you some notes. So your event is coming up. What size of audience are you expecting? What type of audience are you catering for? Your venue, acoustics. Because what happens is when people come to us and they say, I want to have an event, into some venue where and they expect miracles to come out of that. So talk to us about what you have come through, what you have come across. We have a lot of stuff to cover, but I know there's a depth inside of you. What you want people to know before their event comes up. What goes on into preparing for an event? What goes on into getting that event to be a memorable, successful event? What do you go through? By the time the audience comes in, Baki, there's a lot of things that you've gone through.
So much, yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And some things you wish people knew, but sometimes people just like...
They don't, yeah.
They don't.
Yes.
So talk to us.
So basically, I think my contribution to your question will be mostly on the side of sound, because that's where I major a lot. Yes. So I think in my response to that, it will also be slightly informative. You know, I teach a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Mwana kamboita student yangu. Just transition and
Ndoda ndakambodzidza muono ini. Chatsaka chamudzidzisi.
So what basically happens is before any event starts, right? Let's take for instance that you are the client and have an event. There are a few questions before we get to the sound system and everything, before we get to those specifications that I need to ask. Where are you hosting your event? Number one. Why I ask that question most of the times is I need to establish a few things. Power, the acoustics, right? And probably the size of the PA system that's needed. Because, you know, there is math involved in recommending a PA system for a particular venue. For example, if it's speech, one person consumes about 2 watts. And if it becomes music and everything, they consume it about 4 watts. So all those things need to be taken into consideration prior. Yes. And then after that, we then come up with what we call a technical specifications document. I think most people usually confuse it with the technical rider. A technical rider is part of the technical specifications document, right? So the specifications document has got the technical rider, which has got a patch list and the information required, right? But it has to also have information as to what power is needed for the people who are handling power, right? It needs to have information whether is this a live recording, is it a live stream, will you need crowd mics, will you need this and everything, so that the person actually understands. Are we going to be feeding video to the, for example, audio to the video guys? Do we have overflows and all those things? How are we going to run our audio? Is it through ordinary, probably analog systems like the Snake, or we're going to use Dante, which is an audio protocol.
Cat5.
Cat5, which is Cat5. Is it, so all the specifications document it's not something that you prepare overnight. You understand? You take time to prepare that. And once you're ready, once the document is ready, that is when you then present it to your suppliers. They'll be able to then interpret it. For example, prior to that, even before the model, they've said, no, I want a hotkey amp, a Fender thing, all that information will actually be there, so that the suppliers will then be able to interpret it. When you go to the venue, they know what they're looking at, right? And then the first thing when you get to the venue, after setting up PA system and everything, PA system and go rigid, right? There's what we call PA system calibration, right? Whereby you make sure that there isn't too much bass. You make sure that the audio dispersion and the coverage is the same whether you're in front of the speaker or even at the back, right? And there's and also in terms of wattage, most of the times which is recommended is that at the mixing point, sound should be between 90 and 110 dBs. You understand? That then determines how the curvature, if you're using a line array, your power, your throw, all those things are calculated well. And that's not something that you just say, I'm going to event and those things are done. That's when you choose Nangireka Pisama speaker, Nangireka Daiso, and then maybe, for example, I've done Magala Zakawanda. You understand?
Yes.
Right? And then once can we have the list of people that are going to be performing? You're not given the list. When you get there, there's a choir. You don't have condenser microphones. The next thing, what happens? Engineer! Mabodoro comes, you understand? And stuff like that. So, and probably just before maybe someone else says something, what I need people to understand is that the event for the technical people is days before the event. It's not that 1 hour of fun. No, it's not, right? And the sound engineer, probably to take it from the words of you, Amachimsor, is sound engineers are not DJs. No. Sound engineers are not thing. Music, you know, Terra sound engineer, sound engineers. You understand? And sometimes the music that we listen to is boring. And we'll have memorized it so well that if you play it on a particular system, we can be able to tell you that speaker yakafa bass. I know my frequencies are so this one will work this side. Dispersion, so I think there's a lot that happens which I wish the people would appreciate, even promoters,
Yeah.
even when we end up church and everything. And the sad thing is, most of the times, we are the first one to be at the venue, the last one to leave, and the most underpaid.
Yes, and the last to be paid
Yeah.
if you get paid.
Underpaid and last paid if you get paid. yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's basically it. I don't know.
Yeah, my surprises. Tell us about my surprises. I know you just said that Andre owns engineer.
Yeah.
That's one big surprise that comes. Or the event has just started.
Yep.
That's when you start to get to know what they want
Yes.
and
yes.
what they need
and what they need. Yeah.
while the event is going on.
Yes, and I think most of us, especially here in Zimbabwe, we should develop a culture to always have a technical rider.
Yeah.
At the back of your pocket, right in your fingertips. The moment they say we've got events in such and such a place, you have to have two types, one for a full band and one for acoustic, and they should always be back to back. Whether there's a patch list, and the patch list should be there, because there are instances whereby, like the instance you mentioned earlier on, that someone was in Mashingo and you are supposed to be doing everything, and you wait, and the moment they come, they just go on stage. No, usually our drum is usually like this, our mic is usually like this. So when you put all that information, it makes it easier for the tech person who is routing the PA system and everything to know what exact, so that when you then come, you're not starting from zero. Whenever they come, they don't start from zero. So it prevents a lot of surprises. So who's the sound engineer? It's Mbaki. Okay, and I have his number. I want to share with him the thing, so that kind of personal equipment, we know what to bring, or know what don't want to bring. So there's lots of surprises. And my surprises that we've come up across is, you've gone to a band road, especially pa mabende Sungura. Mashika pani ma guitar 5. My Jack 3, Esengariri. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of the surprises. And the unfortunate thing is that the audience will never blame the musician.
No.
They'll never blame the musician. They'll always blame the sound man. And the engineer. And to a certain extent, most sound engineers have lost credibility, not because they don't know, but because in the media sector, in the art sector, you're only as good as your last gig. Once nika kuporonga, there's something changoitik. I'll give you a simple example. I won't mention the place and everything. Ndakaita event ya Mono, sometime last year, right? My speaker, all of them, anga kutra. You understand? Aita Chikata, digital mixer was freezing and the like. And I've been more like a resident engineer at that place for quite some time. Now they don't call me. Not because I'm not good, but the system was bad at that time.
System was sending me.
You understand? And I don't get events there, but does not mean that I'm not good, right? But I don't know. I'm God's favorite sound engineer. So I then think, but what I'm simply trying to say is, sometimes because of surprises and surprises, it affects how you put food for my kids on the table. So never blame us. At least play your part as well. When you play your part, you do everything well. You understand?
Hansi, when the sound is good, no one knows where the engineer is. True. No one knows where he's sitting.
That is true.
Nobody knows where he's sitting. The moment something goes wrong, everybody knows. They know where to find him.
That is so true.
No one got very fast. And ipapo kana iri event yedu yema church. Pano yavarume vanenge vaine masutu. And munhu wese anoenda lecture. Apa urikufana kuendera mberi uchimixa. But at the same time urikufana kunge uchiteerera.
There's 1,000 voices around.
Vachiteerera futi. Pangaisisa vamwe ti maengineers ekuti tinonge tine mabvudzi malocks. Tiba tatozwa madhimoni ati nawo kuti musoro makazara madhimoni but so ndiri papoka you mentioned nyaya yema-tech riders, nyaya yema-technical specifications. Like you said, pane misiyana iripo tech rider nema-technical specifications. Mono is a touring musician. He has traveled worldwide achiridza. Anotaura many times vachiti pavaifamba naOliver Mtukudzi even pakaenda naChonis pane matype ema-amps avanenge kuti ndikunoridza nechakati, stage plot yavo inenge yakadai. Vanoda kutarisira kuti muchishingosvika havasi kuona maengineers achingomhanya because vanhu vakapiwa time yekufanira prepare. So imbotaura nesvika tinzwe mudhara because munoridza. And you have seen my stages where things are prepared. And you have seen areas where my preparations are like that. They're a bit lacking.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that as a country in Zimbabwe, we have no calendar culture in Zimbabwe. zvinhu zvese zvinongoreka zvangonzi uri kuite chinhasi ningirini tine event zvese malast minute zvese whether zvinhu zvekurongwa negovernment whether zvinhu zviri kurongwa nemachurches whether we don't have a calendar culture zvinhu zvedu ndezvemalast minute ona so ifanira kuti pamagigs akawanda like gig ritotaura nambaki pane it's one of the causes yakakonzeresa but ivo vanowanzorongeka I don't know chii chakazoitika zvecho ipapapo but one of our biggest problems kutaura kwandaita inyaya yekuti vanhu havaronge well on time zvinhu zvavo zvese ndezvokuzotaurwa last minute then yamataura yekuti maaims and everything one of the biggest problems like yandakafesa madhezi andanoridza kumachurches was lack of backline one yekuti mune musitori nabackline and I remember mumwe kwataipinda kuti chechi yaiti ikazarisa mamonitors achabva ataridzidziswa kuvanhu futi musara musina zvekunzwa then ukada kubvunza vanzi iwo hausi sound engineer ziva zvekuridza gitara chete but alright gitara racho ndoda urinzwawo so I think problem mamention it just goes back to one calendar culture number two imwe yekuti at times havadi kuhaya mimi professional sound engineer panongosarudzwa baba machingura because baba machingura vanoshanda kudheribod vane mari vanzi ndimakuinda pasound engineer baba machingura vanofunga kuti good sound ingori noise as long as volume yakawanda ichiti boom 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 fundisa chitopatisa chiti so I think those two some of the issues that I suspect it's
Tony.
Sorry, I don't know if there's something kuti for my events and multiple artists. I remember the international. So my take right the hour is like my impact. I think I should change up. I know every artist you cannot see. Sometimes some people share some things.
That's a good question. Pani mama places at tired kuti vanongaitore two stages.
Okay.
Ekuti rimwe band rikuridza kwako uku varitofanira kugadzira take ride the next band. Without opening up the PA system ichingopera since vakamboita line check and everything kudhara ichingopera iri band zvato ready that's one then the second one ndeyekuti panoitwa ka change over period so kekuti panopedza band iri panomboitwa kana DJ achininga kana kuti comedian ombopinda omboningirana take rider ende zvinoitwa very fast because vanenge vakawanda ona saka zvimwe zvacho zvinokonzerwa nyaya yekuti mari inenge ichibuda because you can't even say pasingabude mari because nongozati muZimbabwe one of our biggest weaknesses ndeyekuburitsa mari vanenge vachiexpecta efficiency yabhadhara vanhu 1000 ivo vabhadhara vanhu $200 we-expecta the same efficiency saka at times zvaita fast nyaya kuti pane vanhu vakawanda pane mari yekuabhadhara pakurumidza kuchinjwa then pane vamwe vanenge vaine matekeraidi akada kufanana but uku ndaononge vanokoshesa stereki individuality every musician because I don't remember any gig ratakamboridza chinzi ngoridzai zviripo izvi but also the changeover was always smooth.
So just to add to that, I'll quote one event that we did here in 2012. Michael W. Smith, when he came to the Harare Gardens. And Fred will tell you as well, we were with Fred, Slinger, Mickey, and Danny Mark, his soul rest in peace. He helped us with that show for Michael W. Smith. So Michael sent us his technical writer. And in his technical writer, and also in big bold letters, only one opening act. They have to have their own backline, their own drum kit. Everything was separate. So we were using a digital board. At that time, we were using an M7. My settings avo, my settings edu, and so we had two sets of drum kits. We had a DW drum kit set up for Michael W. Smith, and we had another MES drum kit set up for the opening act. Mono's combo was completely different. You remember that night? It was different from the guitarist. The bassist had his own, and Naftali had his own bass, rig. Everybody, mics, everything was different. So the moment the opening act finished, it was like off. When Michael W. Smith, like Mona said, there was a changeover period of about 5 to 7 minutes. They had done their sound check, they had done their line checks, everything. The moment they came on stage, the engineer just went into his settings and his scenes just called it up, everything. So whatever they had done their sound check with on their bass and everything, nothing had been tweaked or changed for somebody else. So it's very important that they also had given us their stage plot. This is where he's going to be standing. There was no surprises. So also they were using my in-ear monitors. Remember how they cleared the whole stage, everything, because it was a live recording. So everything was cleaned up. So everything was here and in the front of house. The event was excellent. Later on, they sent us an email. They said, even though we had heard a lot about Zimbabwe, all the negative stuff, it was the best event of our whole world tour because it was memorable. They sent an email and they said, we want to thank you, whatever
I
you
hope
guys...
you kept the email.
I have the email and I'll share it with you as well. And I think I shared with Fred.
Doma souvenir.
Yes, that's a souvenir. So and they invited me to come over to their offices in Nashville. So I went with my wife to say, then they said, we just want to say thank you for all the hard work and the preparation. We know that there were a lot of challenges for you guys to get that event to come together. Not only that, also the perception that, we are going to Zimbabwe, nothing is going to work. And that we want to see this particular amp and we want to see that. And we said, we might not have exactly what you're looking for, but this is what we have. So what happened is when they came on stage, they were surprised to see what we had. They started taking pictures, remember? Mm-hmm. And then when we went to the United States, they started asking me to bring them the same amps and the same backline that we used here. So
I remember you also bought the keyboard here, Shandisa.
Yes, yeah.
You didn't have it, but you bought it on time.
Yeah, we bought it on time. It's exactly the CP300. We bought it on time, and it came. So everything, when they came, it was we surprised them upwards. It wasn't like who.
The same thing. Pani Pakawaya futi
Hill songs.
They were surprised futi kuona. Zimbabwe
DW. Hill songs. Remember that we played for Joyce Meyer.
But pane one story kakaitika one.
And there's also one story that I want to ask.
That
was like, what happened in Botswana? I think was it Hillsong or?
I'll tell you.
I really want to hear that.
Yeah, we'll tell you that. Okay. Remind me one or two the story.
What happened is Isusu is cross line. Line crossers, line crossers. Yeah. So we were playing as the opening 80 Hill songs. Yeah. So Saturday is the last song. For the Prime Minister, Saka everybody off the stage. Yeah. One. Saka ndakasiya kebo yangu ne guitar yangu fana ngwete zvinoitwa ne security zehurumende zvezvo but angosiya. Saka tadzika pa stage we thought it may pamwe tichanopedzisa that final song. Yatakatwa panzira. That's why ndakasiya guitar yangu. One. Then vatazodzonzi no Prime Minister vari nehari saka havangaenda vasinonzwa the main act. Saka amuchatoridze tata abobva tetese but amira then vayabva vaenda pastage. Saka pakaenda pastage yangu nodzura kebo yangu bvaisa pane gitara yake. Saka vapedza ndakuenda ndaonoti ndakazotora kebo yangu ndeyangu. But no, I was part of the opening band. Kebo ndindasiya this kebo no ndeyangu. Pavatoya vatu manje vakupopota. So ndakatanga kufunga fast that okay, kurunzi vemanewspaper vasvika ndichinetsana nevanhu over a cable. Will they believe kuti varungu vabira munhu mutema cable? Sanda nautanga kuona maheadlines ekwaye dzakatoonzi guitarist akadzingwa kubhendera mutukudzi omuka chibhebhe nengo kurwira tambo yegitari nevehill songs vanangoti you know what ndavatorawo cable panoti ndizoita bad reputation vanangodzika vandasiya but I'm sure vakazorehela But for 2 years I couldn't listen to music.
And another thing, I think Fred Naslinga vakaenda kuenda ku front of house. Ndo vakati mixira isusu. Vachiti mixira saka vakamixa zvinhu zvakanakidza. Saka zvakavanzi imi muchingoburuka ika. Takaine drum kit, remember that DW kit. Ayo. Ndozvavakaridza nazvo izvo. Because I remember Blessing Mparitsa akanga ari pamadrums, Enoch Pirora anga ari pabass, Mona ari paguitar, ndopakina Cassius Andre anga ari pabass. Yeah.
I'm the dream team Jay.
My legends.
So just to divert Botswana. That day is going to Hill songs. They gave us a technical rider. Vaida kuita show ku Livingstone kuLusaka. So takava ne team redu kunoko ne generator line array system front of house engineer zvese and so forth. So we also had Mukoma Botho Nyamondera with us. So takaenda Livingstone tikusvika tikati venue tioneka ground kasina nechi stage iri kuvakwa nemapuranga ichiri kutozara tichikero apa zvikunzi shondo yemangwana manheru.
Oh, snap.
Tikati no hazvisikuita. Tikati yeshi tatanga kubatsira kuconstructa stage here vatavaningirikana. Saka here's what happened. Taitina engineer taitinayo yatakabva naye kunoko wechirungu andire naBotho Nyamondera. Amasta hanzi kutaura ndotaura mudharanya unodisasta racho. Takaenda nechine M7 saka usually what we do is isusu kana tichifamba handifambe ne just one mixer. Tongofamba netumwe tumamixer tudiki tuma-analog tudiki tuchongoti something goes wrong tinenge taita sei tinenge tine backup. Tamutsa generator redu run power into the system saka into the venue but hatifambe hatidi kudependa pane magetsi atiri kuzopuwa ikoko. We never do that because the equipment yedu we want to make sure the electronics dziri correct. Taita manje saka Hirusongo wakabva kupi kuSouth Africa yengere kubva kuSouth Africa yangakazana nevarungu saka chakuitika ndechekuti vari kuona uyu watapa basa uyu ari kumixa wechirungu ndovatatanga kuseparate kwamanje saka vainga kuti ndiye muridzi wekambani. Saka takubatwa
rough manje
tikati anopata patura vazorumbidza Mwari. Saka inini usually ndenge ndimabvudzi angu handidambure bvudzi rangu ne-t-shirt namudhara Nyamondera saka zvinonzi siri yemuridzi wekambani. Vatagara pasi yatangoti chicho mukuda zvakanzi what we are here for this. Vakutaura vachingorifeya kuna engineer wechirungu. Ndandafona kuZimbabwe kuVictoria Falls. Ndandati ndokumbirawo kuti mundigadzirirewo ticket. Pana munhu andiri kutuma ari kukwira ndege nhasi manheru ari kudzokera kuHarare. Vanangopuwa ticket vanamutambidza ticket ndikati you are going back home kuna engineer wewe. Because akanga apindawo muchuni akuitawo zvimwe chitezvo nezvikuita. Ndivatana vaona akuenda. Tikati tine leg yekupi yekuBotswana. Masara nevanhu vatema chete. Ndivachakumixira izvi. Because chinoitika chekuti hatidi kuti vanhu vasaizane. Because remekedza vanhu. Vose vari kuita behind the scenes vachoka. Ndo vari kumhanya nemacables. Vakutora vakomana vatatinavo vanatawanda napfumba namiki zvikunzi those little short guys hapana zvavanoziva ndikati ndivo vamuchashanda navo ivavo. Because history yatagara navo vakomana vanoshanda nesimba. You respect them. Kana waona tichiuya navo kuno kuzvova vane basa ravanoita. Tasvika kuBotswana takagara pakazungula muchana takasvika kuBotswana kuFrancistown. Francistown same thing. Kune imwe company yaitwa yapuwa basa rekuita stage ma-screens. Saka ma-screen aya ma-size acho ma-screen anga ari 7 meters wide. 7 meters wide. That's how big the screens were. Maningachiwa. But vakanga vasina matambo akakwana, vakanga vasina kugadzira zvinhu zvavo. Saka pavakazoisa screen yavo takatora mavideo nemapicture. Screen yaioneka pakati pe7 meters ipapo. Kakadayo so 32 inch. Saka 32 yanga yakakura. Kakadayo so. Saka vekomana veHillsongs mawacha vanga vakuita rough. Zvikaita isusu panapa tauya kuzokuitirai sound check. Vatano dai mamusina kuendesa mwewe dai zvinhu zvakufamba tikati handizvo zvatainga kuno isusu tauya kuza zvesound ngati vatatu vakomana vemavideo nemalights muri kuda help here. Takasangana navo navo ikoko vakatsvagwa ikoko vaida kubhajeta hapana kubudiswa mari dzakakwana here and so forth vaonzerawo zvinhu izvozvo. Saka mhino zvakaitika pavakanga vakutesta futi patsva malights avo nenge ndibva yaita back voltage ndibva yatoti ndibva yarova ma-output transistors ese M7 boom yaenda. Saka here we are ndikati namudhara Nyamondera namwezi okay ngatiitei apa veHillsongs isusu takanga tiza vanhu vese vakanga vachiningirana avairidza matracks. Saka takaona matracks avari kuridza engutora left and right. ndovatati alright ndabudisa tumamixer twedu tuya mumabag vatati mamicrophones mamics ese muanalog vatatora matrack side vatati left and right bam saka takaramba takasita zimixer rese apa saka vanhu vaida kuona impression yezimixer vairiona left and right yematracks avo ekuita senge kupinda ndokupera kwakaenda show yoyo mundaranyamondra akobva mixa mamicrophones ayo vaitanga uri mustudio chaiitika kune show ichiitika sound iri kurira mamisenzi ari kurira tine video yacho nepicture patras pamusoro apa pane munhu welighting ari kuseta malights rimwe light anga risina maclamps rakarira akabata so nyaya yepreparation nyaya yepreparation so that's what happened to
Satan asipo man
Exactly.
right so tiri papo mubvunzo Tommy you've been asked to do video pavideo paya uona venue lighting ainogadzirirwa zvinokuaffecta iyi nenzira yakaita sei same thing cabling same thing power supply same thing once it out to project ro mavideo pascreen papa what kind of preparation do you do what would I say?
Yeah, it's always a problem. I think Pamambo to a point they budget another budget too much and they forget some of the critical areas in preparation. Because whenever a client comes, we always have the same questions. It happens with the scope. Exactly. Even go to that video, especially my smaller videos, like an idea like a music video example. When I'm going to do that music video in that quotation, and then we then have to come back to it. Can you tell us script quotations? I'm going output. I'm going to expect the camera see. And it's always the same answer. I'll come back to you. They have to go back, then we have to listen to the music. In what way? Because people have a lot of flat figure when it comes to video, but no. It all depends on the scripting. It's not always going to be the same pricing. So, yeah, pre-production. So, on our quotations, usually, we nicely split things. Just as pre-production, production, then the actual production is a different line, and then there's the post-production as well. There's steps to the whole thing. It's not just going to be once off the product, because people focus on the production shit. They don't take into account with punish in front of it before and afterwards as well, because we continue talking to the client when we cut it reels online, social media, all those things.
5 angle, 10 angle camera shoot.
Yes.
Asi what no pa 10 angle papa. Watombosangania kunzi wakuwa budget ya vanhu tu.
Exactly.
Train on 10 talk.
Yeah. Because so we try to split things probably in the quotation, because on us the crew it's a huge crew. And then so when we then understand the scope, we then present a proposal. And then normally people like in Zim, my budgets out there usually low. So they then have to come back with a budget, and then we then try to work around that budget, but it's always compromise sometimes. So in Zimbabwe, I think we took a lot of my miracles, my miracle production.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know, yes. If we are doing the same things we're doing here out there, how much we'll be charging.
Yeah.
But
it's a different ballgame.
It's a different ballgame. So I don't know how. Maybe it boils down to the economics. It's the economy that we're in, and we cannot always force people to pay up certain budgets that they cannot afford. So we try to compromise at the end of the day.
Yeah, what challenges are you facing in a turnaround time with expectations? When people are managing my expectations and turnaround time, man?
Yeah, I mean, of course, people, depending on what kind of project it is. I mean, if it's a live production, usually it's just happening there or it's being streamed online. So, but obviously the product that they want afterwards. So it depends on the client, how soon they want that product. So we usually give them something, because we sign a contract before we do the thing. So they usually know that for the end product to come out, it's going to take...
One thing, you're signing a contract.
Yep.
You're defining terms.
Yes.
Last week, taitaura na podcast atakaita mono akataura nyaya mwana wake ekuti pane paakafonerwa mona aripo vamwe kuti tatobvumirana akutoti ndakuenda munobva muti matotaurana ndara matobvumirana here and so forth. Definition of terms ayakunzi saka ukazotanga kuzokumbira mari after watoridza kana watoita zvinhu vale yako yaita sei yadrop. So talk to us about defining my terms and making things clear. Monona Mbaki.
All right, I think really the issue of defining terms is one essential aspect. But let me just take you back. It's just that what really affects some of these things is we don't have a culture of doing that, right? And that is
so now there are two things that we're missing. We don't have a calendar culture, and we don't have a culture of defining things.
Of defining things, right? And I think everything then boils down to education. There's very few institutions that actually train showbiz as showbiz. And the few that are there, including my institution as well, we're all fairly new, even some of the universities. So in order to then change a perception of somebody who has been in the industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it really takes a lot, you understand? And probably Mono would attest even yourself, the moment you bring up a contract with an individual,
yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, they want to keep that flexibility,
that gray area, and stuff like that. And I think because of that, it compromises the quality of the product, right? By saying product includes tech, the performers as well. So the cookie at the end of the day is not well baked. I think that then eventually affects who we perform for outside Zimbabwe. I'll give you an example. Somebody I was saying to somebody that I really wish that some of these musicians that say they're actually going to play for Zimbabweans. So it's as good as you're here, which is totally different demographic.
That's true.
I think Mukomba, Oliver Mtukudzi, I think those are the two that come who have played for a totally different nationality.
I know, I wonder always, in fact, previous dispensation, the list was very long. But per current dispensation, it's just one. Mainly it's one.
It's one, because I think it boils down to, like I'm saying, if we don't have a culture of how some things are done, right, it really compromises the product at the end. And the product is not only the musician, it's everybody. You understand? So I really think that for us to get to a point whereby we are taken as a business people, not as Marombe. There's a certain seriousness that we need to adopt.
Poor and famous.
You understand? Poor and famous, There's a certain cultures that we begin to adopt. I'll give you an example. At the academy, our students, to learn post-production, we start off with things like a podcast. They're podcasts that you run. We call them Word on the Street. So we train them to say, okay, you want how many teams? What do you want to talk about? I want to talk about musicians. Okay, can you kindly shortlist your participants, who your guests will be? Then say, go and negotiate with them. And then in passing of an tell them, make sure that I just say, aku badarachi, marine transport at least. Some small little things which then teaches responsibilities, because many of us shambaki ndine gig ndikuda kutuma tops nemanhangirikiri and stuff like that. Bona anofunga kuti izvoni ndowe papo through a miracle. You understand? But ndinda kutoita expense gig rake. So there's some logistical expenses that even though I'm doing for free, he needs to take care of.